वेलकम बैक फ्रेंड्स। तो आज हम स्टार्ट करेंगे ज्योग्राफी क्लास 7 चैप्टर 3 क्लाइमेट्स ऑफ इंडिया। तो सबसे पहले हम जानेंगे क्या है व्हाट इज वेदर, सीजन एंड क्लाइमेट। तो सबसे पहले हम लोग इनकी डेफिनेशंस देखेंगे। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, वेदर इज व्हाट वी एक्सपीरियंस फ्रॉम डे टू डे, दैट इज विंडी, रेनी, हॉट और ड्राई। देन कम सीजन्स। तो सीजन्स मींस व्हाट, जो एवरी ईयर जो बार बार आते हैं। तो एवरी रिकर्स एवरी ईयर एंड वेदर ऑफ अ प्लेस इज डिफरेंट इन एवरी सीजन। तो कितने टाइप के सीजन होते हैं इंडिया में? हमारे 6 सीजन्स हैं। कौन से? यहाँ पर देखेंगे एक बार। 6 सीजन है, दैट इज स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम स्प्रिंग, दैट इज वसंत, समर दैट इज ग्रीष्म, रेनी सीजन दैट इज वर्षा, ऑटम दैट इज शरद एंड प्री विंटर दैट इज हेमंत। तो स्टार्ट होगा स्प्रिंग, देन इसका समर आएगा, देन रेनी सीजन आएगा, देन ऑटम आएगा, देन प्री विंटर आएगा, देन विंटर आएगा। तो टोटल 6 सीजन है। So now we will quickly go through the types of the climate in India. In North Himalayan mountains, we are having alpine climate, that is cold, snowy winter and cool summers. Alpine comes from the word Alps, that is the mountain range of Europe. So यहाँ पर क्या रहेगा? हमेशा cold weather रहेगा, always snow रहेगी, okay, in the mountainous region of Himalayas, okay, जो higher heights पे रहेंगे वहाँ, okay. Then comes the lower in the Himalayas, means at lower height of the Himalayas. So that is many hilly areas are in this type of climate. That climate is said to be temperate climate. Okay. Temperate climate में क्या रहेगा? Winters are moderately cold and summers are not too hot. तो winters उतनी बहुत ज्यादा ठंडी नहीं रहेंगी और summers भी बहुत ज्यादा गर्म नहीं रहेंगी। सो इन एरियाज में सारे जो हिल स्टेशन है वो इन एरियाज में कौन से हिल स्टेशन है, जैसे कि शिमला है, मसूरी है, तो इसी क्लाइमेट के अंदर आता है। देन इन नॉर्दर्न प्लेन्स में जाएंगे तो क्लाइमेट कैसा रहेगा? वहाँ सब ट्रॉपिकल टाइप रहेगा। देन क्लाइमेट विल बी सब ट्रॉपिकल। सब ट्रॉपिकल मीन्स वेरी हॉट समर्स एंड कोल्ड विंटर्स। देन हम वेस्ट में जाएंगे तो थार डेजर्ट, वहां पर क्या रहेगा? एक्सट्रीमली हॉट डेज एंड कोल्ड नाइट्स एंड वेरी लिटिल रेनफॉल। देन विल कम टू वेस्टर्न कोस्टल स्ट्रिप, दैट इज हैविंग वेस्टर्न घाट। सो वेस्टर्न घाट के बहुत हैवी रेनफॉल होगी, हैवी रेनफॉल रहेगी इन द मानसून मंथ्स, क्रिएटिंग ए ट्रॉपिकल वेट क्लाइमेट वहां का रहेगा, which is favorable for growing rice and spices. Then comes Deccan Plateau. तो अगर हम इस तरह से यहाँ देखें तो here is somewhere वेस्टर्न घाट। तो ये जो एरिया है वेस्टर्न घाट का, ये जो एरिया है यहाँ, यहाँ क्या होगा? हैवी रेनफॉल होगी। बट इसके जो पीछे वाला एरिया है, इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड, लाइक सपोज दिस इज द वेस्टर्न घाट and heavy rainfall on this side. Okay, this is the coastal side, and here is this Deccan Plateau, this one. So here is less rainfall. Okay, this side heavy rainfall. Okay. So the central Deccan Plateau has semi-arid climate, means less rainfall वहाँ होगी, with hot summers, mild winters and moderate rainfall during the rainy season. तो उतनी बारिश नहीं होगी। तो ईस्टर्न इंडिया का क्लाइमेट कैसा रहेगा? ईस्टर्न इंडिया एंड साउदर्न पेनिनसुला का क्लाइमेट कैसा रहेगा? विल एक्सपीरियंस ए ट्रॉपिकल क्लाइमेट। ट्रॉपिकल में कैसा क्लाइमेट रहता है कि माइल्ड विंटर रहेगी एंड डिस्टिंक्ट वेट एंड ड्राई पीरियड्स ऑफ कंट्रोल्ड मानसून इवेंट्स रहेगा। ओके। Now we will quickly discuss the factor determining the climate. First, we will discuss the latitude. Latitude means what? That suppose this is Earth, this is the equator, and these are the latitudes on northern side and southern side. This is equator, this is North Pole, and this is South Pole. So as we move from equator, this is the equator, towards the pole, then what will happen? The temperature will reduce. So the temperature will reduce. Means at equator, the climate will be very hot, while at poles, the climate will be frigid. Means always under snow. Okay. So places near the equator at low latitude are warmer, while those near the poles are colder. This happens due to the angle at which sun rays hit a particular area. So we will see why this is happening, that at equator it is warmer and while at poles it is colder. So let's see why. The earth tilted 23 degree half, okay, and this is the equator, okay. Here's the equator, and suppose here the sun rays are coming and directly falling on area near the equator. And suppose this is the polar area and this is the polar area, 23 and a half. So it is equator, it is 23 and a half. This is 66 degree and a half. This is south and this is north, 23 and a half north, 23 and a half north. This is 90 degree north, this is 90 degree south. So now here is the sun, and the sun rays are falling directly over the equatorial region, while when we go towards pole, that angle increases towards pole, okay. We can see here this angle is increasing. So if we take here, suppose this is the equator, when the sun rays fall at perpendicular or at left angle, then the heat transferred will be high because the concentration of light rays are high. So concentration high, so warmer, okay. Where? At equator, okay. While at poles what happening? Suppose these are the poles and sun rays are coming from the sun. They are coming at an angle. So at very large area, less sun rays, okay. So less concentration of sun rays. That's leading to the colder climate. So that is the region that around the equator, the region is warmer, and as we move towards the poles, here we can see, so this region would be warmer, and when we move towards the pole, from here towards the pole, then it will become colder over both North Pole, and next comes the altitude. So again we will discuss that altitude in our notes. Here is the altitude. Altitude means height from the sea level. Height from sea level. Suppose these are plains, these are some mountains, okay, and here is the sea, okay. Here is the place A, here is the place B, here is the place C. Okay, place A is at lower height than B and B is at lower height than C. So what happens as altitude increases, as height is increasing, the temperature will reduce. Temperature will reduce. Why? There are two reasons. First, as altitude increases, the atmospheric pressure reduces, okay, and density of air also reduces. That will lead to with the altitude increase, temperature will decrease. Temperature will decrease. Okay, that. And second reason being, at higher altitude, less heat transfer from Earth's surface, as Earth is getting heating from sun rays from Earth's surface. As Earth is getting heating from sun rays, these are the sun rays hitting the Earth. Okay, this is Earth. And then it radiates the heat, again Earth. So the place which is closer to the Earth will be warmer, and those at higher elevation will be colder. That's why A, B, C. Okay. So place A is warmer, and place C is colder. So we have seen what happens with the altitude. Next comes the proximity to the sea. Proximity means near to the sea. So what happens? So land है जो heat gain capacity of land है, that is very fast, means it gets cooler or warmer very quickly. Land, okay. So land absorbs heat quickly. Here is written. Whereas water absorbs heat slowly. Okay. So it will get cooler slowly. It will get warm slowly. So during the summer, what will happen? During the summer, land will be warmer. So that is around 44-degree temperature, for example, and sea will be cooler. That is around 32-degree example. So what will happen? The coastal region will be cooled by the sea air. Okay. What happens? Here will be the low pressure, as it is warmer. Here will be the high pressure above the sea, and wind will blow from high pressure towards low pressure. So there will be cooling effect. Okay, cooling effect. That's why at coastal regions, it not moderate temperature will be there, not cooler, not hotter. Okay, we have seen that in Mumbai, Chennai. Okay, so what will happen during winter? During winter, the land will be cooler and sea will be somewhat warmer than land. So the coastal region is warmed by the sea air. So that is the region that moderate temperatures are found on the coastal areas. Okay. Next is winds. So how winds affect the climate of a region? So we take the example of the northern India, that colder winds or warmer winds. So first we will see warmer winds. That during the summer, what happens? That Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh often receive winds blowing from the west. That these winds are coming from the west, or you can say Middle East area. Okay, west, central and Middle East area. Having traveled over the desert of Arabia and Afghanistan, they bring dry and hot air that causes severe heat waves in summer. So those लू जो चलता है, that is the लू during the summer, because ये winds पूरा travel करके आ रही हैं, इनके पास कोई moisture नहीं होता है. These are already dry winds and having a lot of temperature. So these winds are called Lu. Okay. Whereas winter cold winds come across the Himalaya, creep into the Himalayan foothills, resulting in the cold waves. And during winter, cold waves come from that west also, and that will result in the rainfall during the January, February. That is called western disturbances in winter. Okay. In winter, western disturbances happen that lead to the rainfall in January and February. Okay. So what are the effects of winds on the temperature? If suppose the wind is coming from the sea, that means it will be taking moisture from the sea, and when it will come to the land area, it will give rainfall. While other air that is coming from the land area only, that it will not have moisture, so it will not give rainfall. That's what is written. We saw why dry winds coming from the distant deserts, in contrast, wind coming from the sea bring moisture over the land, which may result in the rainfall. Okay. Then comes the topography of a region. See, topography of region also affects the climate of the region. Suppose North India, if Himalaya would not have been there, then what will happen? What would have happened? These are the Himalayas, suppose that, and here are the plains. And during the winter, that from Central Asia, these cold winds could have came if Himalaya would not have there. These winds have came to the plains and would have been very cold during the very much colder. Okay, during winter. But what Himalaya does, it stops these winds from coming to the northern plains and keeps the temperature in good range. Okay. So topography of a region also play an important role in determining the climate. For instance, Himalaya and Karakoram ranges protect to some extent the Indian continent from the winds of the cold desert of Central Asia. Okay. The nearly flat topography of the Thar desert, while Thar desert में क्या है, flat topography है, तो the जो भी air आती है from the west, hot and dry winds, तो directly आ जाती हैं, and that comes to the northern India. Okay. And same the role of the Western Ghat. Western Ghat, what Western Ghat do? You see here. Suppose here is the Western Ghat. Western Ghats. Okay. So these are mountains. When southwest monsoon comes, it hits these Western Ghats and gives heavy rainfall in this area. While the area behind it, here, this area remains drier because a lot of rain has happened before the Western Ghats. Okay. During coast and Western Ghats. So here is the heavy rainfall. Here less rainfall. Okay. So here is how topography affects climate. Okay. So putting all the regions together, the climate of any region is determined collectively by all above factors. What are the factors we have studied? We have studied the latitude, altitude, wind, and topography. Now comes the microclimate. What is the microclimate? Microclimate is climate of a localized small area. Okay, that could be a valley and post valley, or that could be a forest, and that could also be a city, that is urban heat island. What is urban heat island? If we will see, basically urban heat island is urban heat island. The name specifically suggests that suppose this is a city area and here are buildings. Okay. what is happening during summer? This area is entrapping heat all over, okay, during day, and there is no flow of wind due to tall buildings. So this whole area will have lot of entrapped heat. Okay, so this is all entrapped heat, and it will be act like a heat island. So that's why we say urban heat island. Okay, it acts like a heat island. So temperature of city will be high, and the nearby areas will be lesser than the city. So that concept is called heat island. Okay, we can read here. The urban heat island, that is, some cities have large number of buildings and other concrete structures, very little vegetation. All this traps the heat, and they are often much warmer than the surrounding region. Okay. Then comes the monsoon. What is monsoon? Monsoon basically एक अरेबिक बर्ड से आया है. The Arabic bird मौसिम. Mausim means, which is the meaning is season, and that refers to the seasonal winds over large area of the Indian Ocean and surrounding region. Okay, so monsoon comes from the word mausim, that is Arabic bird, and that meaning is season. Okay, so we will go and see in the diagram. See, we have seen above that during the summer what happens. During the summer, that land will be hot. Okay, and the sea will be colder. Okay, then compared to the land. Okay, so what will happen? At colder region, high pressure will be here and low pressure will be here. So wind will blow from sea towards the land. Okay, direction of winds are southwest. This is south and this is west, and these are coming from southwest. So direction of winds are southwest. That's why this monsoon is called southwest monsoon. It gets lot of moisture from the sea, and that all moisture comes as rainfall in the monsoon season. So this is during the summer. That means that a month of monsoon season starts from June and goes up to September. Okay. While during the winter, what happens? Opposite will happen. That land will be cooler. Cooler means high pressure, and the sea will not be that much cool. So here will be warmer. Okay. Here will be low pressure. So wind will blow from high pressure to low pressure. Okay. So that's why this monsoon is called northeast monsoon. And in India, northeast monsoon will give rainfall to some eastern parts. Here and here. Means Chennai and Tamil Nadu some parts, and Odisha and Andhra Pradesh some parts. So that is northeast monsoon. Okay. So we have studied briefly all these concepts. And one more thing, that there is a place in Meghalaya called Mansaram, receives the highest rainfall in the world. That is how much? 11,000 mm or 1100 centimeter in a year. So thank you very much. Please share, like, and subscribe the eGyan course. Thank you.